Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome in, House Huddlers. Huddle up! Wow, 36-10. What a night, what a day, what an evening for me because I'll actually explain that in a second. Before we get into that, as always, I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. With me is my good friend and co-host, Justin Onayemi.
Whew, fun watch.
It is. It was a great watch, and I have an award to give out.
All right, do that. Should we do episode number first, or?
That's fine. Let's do episode number first.
All right, it's episode 94. There are several honorable mentions. Why don't we go through those real quick?
Yeah, so Keith Traylor, you said?
Oh, yeah, Traylor. Funny play. He had the interception. He's running. He, looks like he wants to hand it off to somebody, but gets chased down, obviously.
But him and Ted Washington, that was like a huge...
Yes, they were a good duo on the inside.
Yeah.
Purely special teamer, I would say. He played a little bit of linebacker, but mostly known for his special team play, both here and I want to say Baltimore. Brendan Ayen-Badejo.
Yeah.
Just was 94.
Fun name,
yeah.
Also to say.
Nigerian. And let's see. Then there was recently Robert Quinn.
Robert Quinn with his 19 sack
and
season,
then disappeared on the odd or even years. I can't remember which.
Right. And then Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd. There you go. He was good once he left Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. It seems to be my son, my 13-year-old son actually said today, like, Dad, I noticed something with the Chicago Bears. It's like as soon as their players leave, they tend to do better. And I was like, I don't know how to respond to you about that. But right now we're changing the tides. And I think with that, we're going to hand it off to a player current.
Yes. Austin Booker episode. He got a sack in today's game. He's flashed already this season, I would say, in his opportunities. So this is the Austin Booker episode.
Yeah, Austin Booker, congratulations. You are not my award winner. I'm giving an award to myself. I know this does not sound humble.
No.
A little pat on the back here, but I'm giving an award to myself. I deserve a Father of the Year award and a Husband of the Year award because I chose to go to a pumpkin farm with my family instead of watching the Bears game live. I did a great job not knowing anything that happened before I got home.
You can't control what people say while they're out there.
Correct. And there was a ton of Bears stuff, right? So I was worried that somebody was going to be checking their phone, saying something. Didn't happen. I didn't touch my phone until I got done watching the game. It was literally almost 200 notifications on my phone, texts, calls, fantasy, notifications.
Yeah.
I got all the way through until I think I actually looked at my phone because my wife texted me while I was watching the game. It was at that point, 27-10. I didn't see the score, but I saw Bears.
No. Because they were down 7-0, and then one point I think they were up 30-7.
Maybe it was.
So I don't think they got their 10
you're
until
right.
much later.
You're right. It's 27-7. And then I got a notification. Maybe I'm blanking on how the order went because I got a notification that Roschon Johnson scored a touchdown. And at that point it was,
I think he had 2.
36-10.
Final score.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I give myself an award for 2 awards, technically, Father and Husband of the Year.
Sounds good.
I don't know if my kids and my wife agree, but all right, let's get into it. This is a great win for the Chicago Bears, but if you are here for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. We are at 669. I don't want that number to change because it's a fun number, but 669 subscribers, but we need to get to 750 for you guys to get a free Chicago Bears jersey. We are literally going to give it away, send it to you directly, pay for shipping, everything.
Tons of good options too of who you might want to get.
Yes. If Peter
up and down the roster.
If Peter from Chicago Sports, what I call the Bumcast, if he wins, I already told him though, because of his smart ass comment on Twitter. Yes, you are getting a Cole Kmet jersey. You don't get a choice. No choice for Peter.
Everyone else, you get a choice.
Yes.
So. All right, let's talk about this game, though.
Again, so like last week, it was a great team win. This week was a great team win, too. I mean, special teams wasn't as big of a contributing factor. We did actually have an extra point get missed.
Yeah.
But
didn't matter.
And Torrey Taylor wasn't as, great.
Right.
But
well,
he didn't need to be.
Offense, defense, both did their jobs, and special teams was just kind of there.
Right.
But with the offense specifically, I feel like we talked before about identity, and I feel like they are establishing an identity. And one thing I really, really appreciate and like, and I'm going to credit Waldron, but you also have to credit Caleb and just the whole offense, is that the Bears have a lot of talent on their team. And it took Waldron a little bit of time to see exactly who does what. But what I've loved that they've done the last 2 weeks, maybe even the last 3, is they are dictating the pace. If they get a personnel group out there and they see that the defense doesn't match up well against it, they go no huddle. And to be able to communicate, not have a stupid bonehead pre-snap penalties and things like that, they had a couple still. But the flow was better. In the Houston game, they were reacting to everything Houston was doing. And since then, it's been like, no, we are in control. And you respond to us. So I really liked a lot of times no huddle, but then that involves a lot of communication on the spot, changing up plays at the line, and Williams is doing great in all those areas.
Yeah, you are looking at a rookie who's in his 5th game, making calls at the line the way he is, in my opinion, like way above and beyond what you see most rookies do. So that right there, even if it's like fake and they're just disguising nonsense, which I know that's not truly the case on every single one, but it's like, I know, and the broadcasters talked about it too, like trying to confuse the young linebackers of Carolina, right? Because I think they're both rookies. So trying to confuse them, right, is one of the things that they were saying that they could be doing too. Like it's just nonsense, but you actually saw checks happen. You saw changes of the plays happen. Like there was a couple times where it went from, into a run play. You're not always going to get it right, but the fact that he's even doing it right now to me is just above and beyond.
And rarely at all today were they behind the sticks. Yeah. Running lanes were available. Swift is hitting the hole. Rojo's hitting the holes. Offensive lines look good the last 2 weeks, and both times it was basically without Tevin Jenkins. Now, when Jenkins went down, who'd they bring in?
They brought in Bill Murray.
For comic relief? Yes. No, for actual blocking.
He wasn't there for Space Jam.
Like comic relief. At the end. Yeah, exactly. Well, I know it wasn't funny for Nate Davis.
No, but that's interesting too, right? Okay, so here, Pryor actually starts at right guard. So then you see Tevin Jenkins go down. It's not that they shifted Pryor over and brought Nate Davis in like they did the week before when they had Pryor in at left guard. Nate Davis was already there at right. They actually just brought in Bill Murray. And
okay, sorry. Go, keep going.
And then Pryor stayed at right guard. Like Nate Davis wasn't even an option.
Right. And a healthy non-play.
Correct.
So basically he's been benched.
Yeah.
Which is fine because the line is looking good. You need to find your unit.
Yes. And they have been looking a lot better over the last 2.5 weeks. Even on like things like screens, you're seeing guys getting out to where they need to be. I don't know if they've tightened up, like where it does seem like they're not having to get out as wide in open space, especially on that one sidearm screen that they got to.
Oh, to Kmet.
No. The one that went to Swift.
I see, for a big gain.
Big gain, right? Like they didn't seem to be as far wide on the hash. Like they seem to have been in the first couple games. So I don't know if that's like an offensive line scheme change that they made. I don't know if it's a full offensive scheme that they've changed, but
maybe better execution.
It could be better execution.
Maybe Waldron wasn't as far off as people thought. You still have to make the calls that your team can do.
Correct.
And they've been coming in when you get into the close end goal situations, bringing in super heavy packages.
Yes.
You got Mercedes Lewis, you got Everett, you got Kramer.
Yes.
All in there. I mean, and then in situations where you finally now can jam it down their throats, you also could then do play action.
Yeah.
And throw it to Kmet, or
you have Caleb Williams running a touchdown and then it get called back because of a dumb clipping penalty, which I saw Kevin Fishbane tweeted out. hasn't happened in 21 years for the Chicago Bears. So good job, Kramer. You made a little bit of a history today. Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to talk about not history, but some streaks.
Okay.
Coming into this game, you and Bob talked about the Bears having the longest home winning streak in the whole NFL.
Yes.
Now, that's the kind of thing you hear that and you just assume, okay, KC, Philly, these types of teams. For it to be Chicago and then extend it is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But did you hear another streak where they lead the league? I don't know if you were zooming through because you were late. Or
I was zooming through a lot. So when there was just dead air between stuff, I didn't catch everything.
Well, we might have to look it up exactly, but I want to say 14 games in a row leads the NFL in holding their opponent under or 21 or fewer points.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
And again, but that's the thing, though. You start to have a streak like that, you start to stack W's, and you start to be a team that people don't want to face.
Right.
Or they know they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice to be in both those categories. I mean, the home one could be a little fluky because it's still who you play and all that. But to have a home field advantage is important, and to have a defense that can hold teams down is important. I mean, Carolina went up pretty much right away.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, Bears D, as good as they have been, sometimes they just have that one bad drive or that one bad play. And then they just clamped them down.
See, and I wish I was playing it live because I would have went on and instantly bet heavy that they were coming back. So I'm going to assume as they go down 7-0, the odds are going to be better in Chicago's favor.
I mean, at one point I even said to my son, I was like, I feel like the Bears are going to win 37-7.
Yeah.
Damn near came almost to that exact total.
Yeah. I mean, my original prediction was 29-13, so I wasn't horribly far off. But what's interesting, we talked about Waldron, we talked about the offense. Yeah, I know Dr. Truth has brought this up. We've talked about it, referring to his comments is how Waldron, came in here late, didn't know a lot of the personnel. It's taken some time. You mentioned it again today. You look at where they've come. The offense didn't score a single touchdown in the first week. Second week, they scored 1. The third week, I want to say they scored 2, then 3, and then today 5, right? So seeing the growth just happen, and I get it. There's already people out there. Well, it's the Carolina Panthers are the worst team in the NFL, blah, 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 blah. You can't pick who you play. But here's the thing. Had they only won, 20-10, that's a big difference on what you saw from 36-10, right? Like it's about how they went about winning, not just the fact that they won.
Last year, I think the NFL had like 72, maybe 74% of all their games come down to one possession. And I don't know what the percent is now, but I almost want to say it would be more this year. It seems like there's a lot of parity. It's every game is coming down to the last possession. This was a laugher.
Yeah.
I mean, their backups are coming in. Their number 1 pick, who was part of a huge trade, comes in garbage time.
Yeah.
Agent's the one taking the knee at the end. I mean,
is that just
bashed
Williams?
They crushed them.
Is that just so Williams doesn't get the negative yards?
I see teams do it. I think when the other team put in their backups, and the Bears were playing their backup defense too
against Bryce Young.
Yeah. My son was joking around, like, had Young led them to a score, he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm up 7-0 on the Bears. I don't know what the big deal is." But they clamped down just in time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fantastic game. I think we hold off to talk about Caleb Williams as a whole on the back end of the second half of the show. I also think we should give out some game balls. I think that's kind of a cool concept that we did last week, and I think we should continue that going forward. Even on weeks that they lose, there's usually someone or a couple guys who deserve a game ball.
Okay.
I already have a few in mind.
Well, there's one more thing I wanted to say about a particular player, but now I think I'll mention it when we give out game balls.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything like to touch on right now that stood out as far as like, I guess just like, let's just quickly go through game flow. So the beginning of the game, like you said, they go down 7-0. I was irritated sitting here watching this, not knowing what the score was, but like, it feels different when you're not watching it live. I don't know why, even though I knew that I didn't know what the score was, it just felt different. I'm sitting here on the couch by myself. No one else is around me. So that was part of it too. I can't text you guys, which makes it very different. I can't be on social media. It makes it very different. I can't be checking fantasy. Makes it very different. So it's just like this silence. And like, I was just sitting watching them score, and I was just like, damn. And I will say the defense is still struggling against the run. That touchdown that they gave up, I think, was outside the red zone, right?
Yeah, it was like a 38-yarder, I want to say.
Yeah, so like that right there, I think they gave up over 100 yards rushing total again today. So there are some things that need to be cleaned up. I don't know if it's because Andrew Billings is becoming a sack specialist instead of a run stopper,
he is. So you talked about how the Panthers came out and just, well, it was actually their second drive. So it was a 3-and-out.
That's right, it was.
And then I want to say they 3-and-out by both teams.
Yes.
But then Carolina did kind of march and score. But for the Bears to answer right away, I thought was important.
Very, very important. And it seemed like everyone really got involved except for Keenan Allen. He's gotten some targets. Yeah. He's just not getting the opportunity to make plays. Even Gerald Everett got in there today. Khalil Herbert didn't get in there today, but he was
ran out of kickoff because he was like, I need to do something out here.
Yeah, he's like, I
got to the 30 where he could have just kneeled.
Yeah, basically. But he, feeling like he's got to do something. Basically, everyone that you're wanting to see have some type of positive impact was making a positive impact. But there's still some things that need to be cleaned up. The pass, it's later in the game, but it was a third down play, I believe, where
Kmet kept flying.
Kmet went, right? And then, Caleb throws it behind him.
Thought he was going to break off the route.
Yeah, they're completely not on the same page. I think Kmet was probably in the right, to be honest, just because you're throwing it short of the sticks. I mean, I guess maybe he does have the ability to get past, but it just didn't seem like that was the right play unless he had to get rid of it because of, pressure. I'd have to go back and look, but
he ended 20 for 29 and had that easy drop by DJ Moore at one point, which at the time he only had 296 passing yards. I was thinking that drop might have cost him 300.
Why did he jump?
I don't know. The ball was not clean either. I don't know if it was tipped, but it was kind of coming wobbly. But that's a catch for DJ Moore. Jump. No, something was off. And he's going to catch that 99.5 times out of 100. Yes. So this was a half drop, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So Caleb over 300 yards.
Yeah, first rookie quarterback for the Chicago Bears to have 2 300-yard passing games in one season. He reached it in game 5.
Yeah, so in his 5th game, he's already had 2 300s. Do you know how many games it took Trubisky to get to 2 300-yard games?
Well, I know he didn't do it in his first season, but granted, he didn't start the first year. I'm going to bet, because I know he did it.
He wasn't out the whole first year.
No. He came in. I think he was 7. I think he had 7 games he played in.
Okay.
But I know he did it against Atlanta, right, when he threw for 6 touchdowns.
Wasn't that Tampa?
Oh, you're right. It was Tampa. Yeah. And then I'm going to guess that it probably took him 20 games.
16.
Okay.
How many do you think it took Fields?
Fields? Did he ever do it?
He only had 1.
I was going to say, against Pittsburgh? No.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. I think it was the Pittsburgh game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't his game.
He's done one now in Pittsburgh, so that would probably be his second.
Right.
And that's probably 30-something games into his career.
Yeah.
So anyway, pretty cool stuff.
But yet, Caleb Williams is a game manager and already labeled a bust.
Not by anyone else. And you better not make that our title.
I already did. I'm not going to do it again.
All right, time for a break?
Yes, definitely.
Sounds good.
All right, enjoy these ads. We will be back to talk more about Caleb Williams. We'll be back to give out some game balls. Justin has another thing he wants to throw out there. So please watch these ads or listen to these ads. Come back, and we got some more to talk about.
Welcome back, Hallis Huddlers. Episode 94. Bears just trounced the Carolina Panthers, and we're talking about that. If you're on YouTube, as you were watching the fake ads, you saw our real ad for deals and promotions through BetStamp. If you follow Rob and I, you probably will be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. But signupexpert.com/huddle will take you right to our direct link. And you can sign up for any sports books that they promote in your area and get all sorts of good deals for first-time signups.
Yeah. Yeah, we
took the Bears
with
the
Bears.
points. I can't believe it was 4, by the way.
I mean, I think it
started at 5.5.
right?
Yeah, I would have taken that too.
I would have taken that also.
But we took the Bears -4, and we took the Baltimore Ravens -2.5, and that game finished crazy. Did you end up finding out?
I did not.
I'll tell you later.
Yeah,
but
this is a Bears podcast.
We hit them both. So
we hit them both. I think we're going to win betting for the week in our fantasy
looking
league.
Good. Looking good. We might. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, but what's awesome about this is, we said it already. It's the Carolina Panthers. You have to win this game. You have to win this game also because of the connection that is here right now with the Panthers and the Bears. How they came about getting Caleb Williams, how they came about getting DJ Moore. That trade looks absolutely awful for Carolina, and it still looks absolutely great for Chicago.
I mean, that not to mention
There's still another pick.
Second round pick.
Yes,
they're now 1-4.
Yeah.
If they can finish in the bottom 3, let's say,
right,
your second round pick from them is the 35th pick in the draft.
Right. So
that's pretty valuable. Whether you use it, whether it's a trade piece for something out there that you need, it's nice to have.
Yeah.
Nice asset.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Caleb Williams. I think he deserves to be talked about in this one. We definitely, we saw a game where he threw for over 300 yards, right? Quite a bit over 300 yards. And I think if I recall off the top of my head, there was 2 touchdowns that he threw in that game. Also had 2 interceptions, and then also had the horrible strip sack that ended up kind of costing them their chance of coming back to win that game.
And that was on 52 attempts.
Yeah, 52 attempts. Today, a very different story. And just watching him play, the way that he was methodically going through his progressions, the touchdown to DJ Moore, okay? DJ Moore,
the second one?
The second one.
Yes,
the second one. It was almost like a post route, right? I honestly think DJ Moore was the first read,
but it was a fake out.
But it was, he shifted the safety.
He had the safety running full speed, not where he was throwing.
And then, boom, right?
Got
the anticipation, just putting it, knowing where he needed to go with it, right? It didn't take him too long. As soon as he turned, he didn't hesitate. He knew what he had. It's not like he was I don't want to throw Justin Fields under the bus, but even Mitch Trubisky too. A lot of times when quarterbacks don't fully see what they see, or they don't trust what they see, it's when they hesitate. And we saw with Caleb Williams at the beginning of the season, that little pump action where it's not a fake. It's I'm going to go, and then I stop, and then I rip it. Now, his release is faster, so it works a lot of times more for him than it would for Justin Fields with his elongated motion.
I mean, that play was just brilliantly executed across the board.
100%.
DJ Moore ran that route like a professional top number 1 receiver. He knew the guy was playing outside leverage and just let him kind of stay there until the break, and the ball was placed perfectly.
He put it only where Moore could get.
And you mentioned Keenan Allen. We're not quite sure what we're seeing out of him.
Right.
But DJ Moore, they knew what they had in him. They locked him up long term. Yeah. That's going to be a connection. I mean, we've seen a lot of misses early in the season, but remember, this is a rookie quarterback just now getting a taste of all of what's coming out. But if these two can establish a rapport, this could be something very special moving forward. We hope he gets the same thing with Odunze, and we've seen flashes of that as well.
Yeah.
I want to quickly say something related to what you were saying. So, I can play a little game because I'm looking directly at the stat, but through the first 4 games, do you care to guess what Caleb Williams' completion to attempts for yards going over 20 yards? And I'm assuming this is air yards. So the deep ball.
So in intended air yards, you're saying how many of them have been completed?
Well, I could tell you the attempts.
How many attempts? Okay.
In 23 attempts, how many completions?
Is that including today?
No. I'm taking today out.
Okay.
Before today.
How many attempts? 23?
23.
So I think I'm cheating because I think I saw this, but I think it's 5.
3 for 23.
Okay.
0 touchdowns, 3 picks, which comes out to an 8.9 passer rating. It was the worst in the NFL.
Yikes.
But we sat on this show and we said,
yes,
I don't think this is a thing that's going to plague him throughout the season or throughout his career. It's not like he doesn't have the ability.
Right.
So then today, and I don't know exactly when in the game this was, he may have tacked on to this. But then today, 2 for 3 for a touchdown, no picks, 149.3 passer rating.
Yeah.
And he may have tacked on beyond that.
Yeah, it's gonna come. I mean, we've said it on the show. Like, it's gonna come. The people out there who are saying he's a bust, I'm sorry, it's like way too soon.
That's weird.
The people out there who want to give Jaden Daniels the offensive rookie of the year crown, it's just way too soon. There's a lot of football left to be played. We need to see how these things play out.
And honestly, I think where your team finishes will
definitely
have a big say in that.
Definitely.
And right now, respect to Washington, they're first in the NFC East.
Yeah.
Which is a shock to probably everyone, just as much of maybe less of a shock than Minnesota leading the NFC North.
It's less of a shock.
Yeah.
But it's still pretty darn close.
It's pretty shocking.
I mean, the fact that Minnesota is 5-0 is just unbelievable to me. And then freaking Sam Darnold has a bad game today and they still find a way to win.
So real quick, you just in the break, we just mentioned the NFC North since we're talking about them now. Let's just say something. You said something cool about the NFC North compared to all other divisions in football.
Yeah, so big shout out to Brendan Shagru. He's over at Bears Wire, which is part of USA Today, I believe. And he put this out on Twitter today after the game. But the NFC North is the only division that doesn't have a team with a losing record. Right, so every team within the NFC North currently has a winning record. They're above 500. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, I knew it was going to be a tough division, but I did not think it was going to be.
We dismissed Minnesota and laughed at them.
Yes.
Now, granted, I actually thought they were going to force McCarthy in a little bit.
Yeah.
As I was making my picks, I kind of accounted for that, and he unfortunately went down in the preseason with an injury.
Right.
Now you're handing it over to a veteran. Sometimes these veterans, I mean, Darnold, wasn't he a number one overall?
Number 2.
Oh, number 2. Okay. Yeah. But highly drafted, highly sought prospect, and it didn't work out. But sometimes those guys get a second or third chance, and you see things differently.
Yeah, I mean, we're we saw Geno Smith like get that kind of rejuvenation when he went to Seattle. Like, sometimes you'll see guys just find a better fit in a system that they're better suited for. And that seems to be the case here with Sam Darnold. Again, he had a bad game today, statistically, but again,
luckily Rodgers had even worse. Not for us.
He did.
But so the Bears are going to have their work cut out for them, but this is why I keep saying, let's see how they're looking in week 8, week 9, as they head into the tough part of their schedule, which is playing your division, because this is a very tough division. Yeah.
But in that regard, we were talking about it too. Like, Seattle lost. That helps the Bears overall. Because look, if the division is going to be this strong, we're going to need some wild card spots, right? So then you saw San Francisco
when you
lose
play Seattle
today, right? And then you saw the Rams lose today again. So like, it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out once the Bears start playing within the division, because that's where it's going to come down to. Who's going to win the NFC North isn't going to happen until later in the year. How's that going to play out?
But they will most likely get 2 teams, and maybe they get 3.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. And they're off to a good start. And I do like them, against the Jaguars going in London. I know it's a London game, which kind of can throw things off completely. But, early, not midweek episode, like, I'm going to pick the Chicago Bears to win that game.
Wow. Spoiler alert.
Jacksonville has a horrible defense.
Well, I like to hear that the Bears are going to travel early in the week, get acclimated. Hopefully the time difference isn't going to be what makes you just kind of look different, look sluggish. But it's going to be a great opportunity for the Bears because they look great right now, and every week has been building to the next. Yeah. All right, game ball time.
Yeah, so, I mean, Caleb Williams gets a game ball because, again, this was a completely different game for him. He was very efficient, hitting receivers all over the place, different arm angle throws, which, by the way, I will say is interesting too, because Justin Fields said he would never practice that. And we did hear in the broadcast that Caleb Williams practices at least 50 sidearm throws a day. So like, I do think that could play out as we're seeing him continue to progress. So for me, obviously, Caleb Williams is the first one. I'll let you throw one out there if you have one.
There's a really easy one, but I kind of want to go with one that's a little less easy. So
I have multiple.
The guy I was going to say who I really want to just recognize is, again, DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
Because he can do it with his rushing, and he's a dual threat, basically.
And he was written off.
Right. And here's what I keep saying to people who are asking me about the Bears' outlook. I don't want to guarantee this, but I think it will be very, very positive and promising for the Bears if DeAndre Swift has already played his 3 worst games of the season.
Yeah.
Because running backs, even the really good ones, sometimes have stinker weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for it all to be, because I remember actually when I was doing a This Just In one year, looking at Deontay Foreman versus Nick Chubb even.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb's a stud. And yet I would find these weeks where either the matchup or maybe the team falls behind and the volume's not there.
Game script changes. Yeah.
You know, whatever it might be. But if he's played his worst 3 games, because let's be honest, the first 3 were pretty ugly for him.
Yes.
Game 4, he outdid all 3 of those weeks added up.
Yeah.
And then he followed up with today where, again, I think he ended up with, let's see real quick here, 73 yards rushing, 3.5 per carry, but he broke an 18-yarder, and then another 47 receiving.
Yeah.
That mattered. That was only on 2 catches.
And an awesome block that never should have been a fucking penalty, because that block, like, we talk about how bad the blocking is for running backs here in Chicago.
Oh yeah, they called it for holding.
Unbelievably awesome.
That was weird
for a running back to pick up that blitzer,
take that hit.
There was no hold. Like,
that was a weird call.
It was awful call. All
right. So there's another easy one out there on the offense.
I have a not so easy one on the offense, but I'm going to throw out a game ball to Coleman Shelton. Why? Because we got fucking fire. That's the only reason why. We got fucking fire. It's calling out, I'm assuming, what was a blitz. You got Caleb Williams saying, yeah, I got it, right? Like, just to catch that on the broadcast, though, like, that was unbelievably awesome, and probably what the name of this podcast is going to be.
All right, then I'll take DJ Moore for a game ball.
Yeah,
over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. The first one, like, I was worried that he almost was going to run out of bounds.
Yeah.
And initially I thought that was on Williams, but he kind of caught it weird, I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, they connected, touchdown, beautiful. And then we already broke down the second touchdown, which was another just well-executed play all around.
Right.
But he looks like a legit number 1 receiver, and he's pretty much in his prime, I would say, right now. And you got him locked up.
Not a game ball, but what did Rome end up with? Because I feel like he just chipped away. Probably had like 50, 60 yards.
6 targets, 5 catches, 40 yards.
40? Okay. Felt like more. I don't have any more on offense.
Okay, I'll go defense. I got no more on offense.
Okay. So, again, defensive ball goes to Jaquan Brisker, right? Like, that guy is making an impact, forced a fumble, another turnover, led to points.
He damn near killed a man.
Yeah. Yeah, he almost killed himself. I'm surprised he didn't come up kind of wobbly, especially with his concussion history. But yeah, I mean, just the fact, the way that he plays, the way that he's been playing, I think he gets another game ball.
All right, I'm going to go with Kevin Byard.
Yeah.
What a pick.
Step
for step, caught it just with his hands, diving. And then they showed a stat that he leads the NFL, or tied, I think, for first in the NFL since 2017 with most interceptions in that time span. I think 29, I want to say.
He was a
29?
29? New Girl reference. He was a beast when he was first with Tennessee. Like, completely just.
I mean, but he's a ball hawk. And to know you're out there with other guys like that, this defense is going to be a serious unit as we're looking.
Yeah. So, okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was going to correctly give the stats on this, but Gervon Dexter gets another game ball.
Yes, he does.
Right?
Yes, he does.
So they're giving him 1 sack. I think it might be 2 half sacks that are connected.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
He had a half with
he had a half
Walker.
With Walker.
And then he had a half with maybe Gordon. That one could have been a third.
Yeah,
because it was 3 guys at once.
Yeah, it was with Gordon. But Gervon Dexter is dominating. He was leading the league for defensive tackles, interior linemen, and sacks going into this game. I'm sure he's probably maintained that with his other sack today. But it's not even just that. I mean, he is just everywhere. He got a fumble recovery, almost got the second fumble recovery.
I didn't realize this. His birthday was yesterday.
Gervon Dexter's?
Yeah.
Ah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We get a game ball to you.
Yes. Any other guys that stood out?
Man, let's see. We already talked about Booker, but we don't give him a game ball. We give him the episode in his honor.
Yeah.
Billings.
Billings.
I mean, just a force.
Yeah.
And getting it with pass rush, too.
Right.
I don't know what Andy Dalton's final numbers look like, but they had him just.
So at one point,
he had some garbage stats actually it was Brisker's missed tackle at the end of the half.
Yeah.
That gave him another 10, 15 yards on his thing. But
so at one point, in fact, I have it.
Yeah, he was 6 for 7 for 12 yards or something.
Yeah. So
15.
At one point, Caleb Williams at one point was 8 for 12 for 111 yards, which is 9.25 per attempt. Dalton at also 12 attempts was 9 for 12, slightly better completion percentage for 30 yards, 2.5 per attempt.
Yes. And
I saw on Twitter that he finished at 4.9 yards per attempt.
Yep. So 136 yards throwing on 18 completions. So, but Bryce Young took a few away from him because another 58 for him. All garbage stats, I would say. Yep. But
against the backups.
So why don't we give Ryan Poles a game ball as well?
Okay.
Because that trade, the first drive, it was they were talking about it in the broadcast. Well, you can't decide who won this trade yet. It's what are you talking about?
Seriously?
Even if Caleb Williams has a slightly less, if he has a slightly less effective career than Bryce Young, you still win that trade going away just by having DJ Moore a part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know what they're talking about. And all the other draft picks. I mean, so Ryan Poles gets a game ball, I would say. All right. Ryan really showed up. We talked about how this was a must win. Yeah. As soon as you saw it on the schedule. Yeah. So,
well, and they already got 2 out. We talked about it. We wanted them to get 2 out of the next 3. They've already gotten that.
There you go.
So they're already on pace to what we expected. To get 3 out of the next 3. Now we're getting greedy. Now I want them to be 4-2.
Well, if you go to BetStamp, like I said, I mean, I have them on the over 9.5. So get them now. Get some wins now. The tougher part of the schedule is still coming.
That's right.
So,
all right. Well, that's it for us.
That's it.
I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Bob and I should be back in midweek with our midweek episode.
And you guys are doing it all in British accents, I heard.
Oh, well, there goes the surprise. There goes the surprise.
All right, man.
All right. Bear down. Claws up.
I was going to do one, but it was probably going to come out. Sorry, Taylor.
I have to work on this now. Top of the morning to you.
Maybe they can move the game.